For our spooky special this week, we read Ghost by Kat Blackthorne.
Ghost by Kat Blackthorne. Ash Grove is a fine place to die. Ames. I wanted to shake her and scream, "You don't have to be afraid anymore. You have me." And then chain her to my bed and yell, "You should be very afraid now that you have me." I inhabited a form that was what every legend in Dark Tale warned little girls like her about. I'd slaughtered 1,000 times over, and I'd do so 1,000 more. But the worst thing I'd ever do would be what I did to her. Blythe. If I kept running, I wouldn't break. If I kept hiding, I wouldn't cry. If I kept moving, he wouldn't find me. Running from an impossible evil landed me between the claws of something ancient and horrifying. I went to the masquerade as a fox. How ironic, because I didn't feel clever, sly, or brave. I was a wounded rabbit waiting for teeth, and more than one set of fangs found me. The worst part of all, I liked it. The grown-up ghost story for anyone who loves Halloween and is ready to meet and fall in love with their new favorite monster. Tricks and treats lurk around every jack-o'-lantern and gravestone in this grown-up Halloween-themed paranormal monster romance. Meet witches, vampires, wolves, ghouls, and maybe a few odd birds and pirates too. Sink your teeth into this paranormal urban fantasy romance and get ready for Halloween vibes. Come to Ash Grove with an open mind, choose your mask, sit and stay a spell if you dare. The Halloween Boys is book 1 in a polyam monster romance series. There will be no choosing between the love interests, though they're each possessive, and it will be a journey to get to their final pairings. HEA with no cliffhanger, only questions leading into book 2. Dual POV, spicy and spooky, intended for ages 18 and up. This is a dark romance. Please see the detailed list of content information on author's site before reading.
So, some daddy energy going on in my PD, huh?
Oh, I saw that. Oh, that was a really odd noise. We'll never do that again.
I just had to share.
I sincerely apologize ahead of time
I got like an hour of
because
sleep last night, and you've been drinking. This is not going to go how you think it's going to go.
I have had 3 full mugs of alcohol, and then I have a regular cranberry juice, but then I also have this
Looks dangerous because that looks a lot like a regular.
iced tea. This is gonna be interesting. Yay! I'm gonna hate myself later. Why do I look so white like a fucking vampire today? I'm really tan and
like a goddamn vampire.
I love that song, by the way. You know what though? Fitting for this book today. Sorry. Side note. Anyways,
happy almost Halloween.
It is officially so close to Halloween. We are. What is this?
Is Halloween. This is Halloween. Almost Halloween. Halloween. We're almost there, people. We're almost there.
It's 9 days. Nope, that's the wrong
Crystal
number.
can count. Crystal can count.
It's 8 days.
She can come to class with me, and I'll teach her. We even have a song every morning. And
it sucks because I'm in fucking college and I should know numbers and I don't. I'm in a business class. You want to know what sucks about my end is I had to turn the water off of my fridge because our fridge has been
leaking.
So we haven't turned it off the whole time we've had it going, but our fridge has been leaking. It's still leaking. It's been like a month. So what ended up happening is we finally came somewhat.
That was a me moment.
We had someone come yesterday.
I'm glad you finally came.
Well, you know, sometimes.
They did in this book too.
Yeah. So someone finally came yesterday. That's what I was trying to say, by the way. You know what? Yeah, sorry.
And his name was Ames.
So somebody fixed our fridge yesterday, but it's the tubing they didn't have. So they have to come back on Monday. Yeah, they have to come back on Monday. That's usually
a male problem.
It really is.
They don't know how that works.
They don't know how to work it. You know, sometimes you get the wrong tube size and it just
flip it and reverse it.
Not everyone is satisfied, which is me because now they have to come on Monday, fix it again to get it to stop leaking. So until then, we had to turn the water off to our fridge. It's very annoying.
Speaking of vampires, though, there was a vampire. Oh, there was quite a few vampires in the book that we read this week. Would you like to explain what we read this week? You're like, nope.
Yes,
You're like,
I
big
can.
fat nope.
Okay, no, I can, because here's the
I love
thing.
that. You're like, big fat fucking nope.
So here's what happened. Who was the author? I don't know.
That was your one job, was to say the name of the book and the author.
Hold on a second. Hold please.
Yes. Yeah. In this sentence.
Because here's what.
Hey,
oh my God, that's
hey,
not
Crystal,
what
can you tell us what we read?
Sure.
Yeah. What did we read?
I know
and
the
who's
name.
it by?
I know the name of the book. I just forgot the
This
author.
is for you, Angie. Just so you know, this one's for you.
Okay. So, oh fuck. Oh
One job.
man.
One job.
Listen. I don't know why you trust me with these. Okay, so here's the thing.
I'm glad you're not timelining tonight like I wanted you to.
Listen to our special. It's October.
Yes, this is a special. It's a spooky special.
And it's our final special of October, guys. So it's fine to be a little wild.
Are we ever not a little?
No, but a little bit too much.
Take a walk
today.
on the wild side.
Wild thing. You made my... Anyways, okay. So this week we read Ghost by Kat. I'm so... Her name is not Kat.
We read Ghost by Kat Blackthorne.
Thank you. I don't know.
Ghost is part of the Halloween Boys series. Crystal can't get her shit enough together to say this sentence.
Crystal drank way too much at the bar.
I thought it was like a standalone, like within the Halloween Boys series.
Originally, when we talked about this, it sounded interesting. I'm gonna be real. I half listened when we talked about it, and I thought this was about a ghost. It's not.
Spoiler!
Spoiler
So,
alert, not about ghosts. I'm also going to throw this out there that I don't feel like this was a Polyam book, but that's my own personal opinion.
So,
For the last
I
10%.
slightly disagree in a way, but we can talk about that during the things. Was it the Polyam book I thought I was getting? Absolutely not.
I think we were probably looking more towards what would be like more of a reverse harem book, I think, than anything.
With everyone all together, right?
Right. And I think that I was more thinking it was going to be towards that. And honestly, I didn't feel like any of the relationship, quote unquote, happened till the final 25% of the book. They didn't interact really in that specific way until the church scene. So in my opinion, there were hints throughout it, but I don't feel like it was enough.
I think we can kind of deep dive as we go a little.
Yeah, I just don't feel like I felt like there was enough to classify it that way until
I think it can still be considered what it is, especially since it's part of a series. But was it what I thought it was going to be going in? No.
Right.
I will be clear about, I agree with that part.
Yeah.
I do think that it could toe the line in a weird way. Let's actually talk about the book so people aren't confused at what we're talking about for a minute.
Maybe.
Crystal's not today.
Not today.
So Ghost starts out, and Ghost features Blythe, our female main character, and Ghost has 4 male main characters, though there are only 2 point of views in this book. There's Blythe and Ames are, I would say, main character.
I think that's where my brain is like, how can you make this that kind of a book and only have 2 point of views?
Yeah, because each book features one of the guys as their main point of view. Yeah. I did not know that going in. I guess we should have researched better. We just saw this book everywhere and we were like, oh, Halloween, we got this.
Fuck it, let's dive in.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what the description said. If Halloween's your vibe, this book is for you. And we were like, great, this book is for us. Partially our fault for going in thinking one thing, So the male main characters in this book are Ames, Onyx, Judas, and Wolfgang, or Wolf.
Judas is barely in the book.
Correct. And it starts out with a dedication saying, choose your monster, and I really hope you pick the one inside yourself.
Which I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It's good. I love when a book starts out with a really strong dedication.
Not only that, but I felt like it was a little bit prophetic or foreshadowy when we don't even know. It was nice to circle back.
Yeah, in my opinion, like there was a lot of twist and turn these things in this thing. I didn't know certain things were going to happen. Some is obvious, but there was a lot of different things that happen throughout this book. So I enjoyed that. And yes, I did like how the whole story circles back to that dedication, which is really nice. And I like when an author will do that.
So, anywho, this book starts out with Blythe, a 21-year-old girl on the run. She stumbles into this Halloween town, Ash Grove, and it is a Halloween centered town that is not really supposed to let people in.
I love this. Honestly, can I state, I want to live in this town. Like, this town sounds like my super vibe. Want to be there. 110%.
I kept having Halloween Town vibes.
Same.
I think everybody our age probably wanted to go to Halloween Town at some point.
Hell, fucking yeah. This is
Yeah,
a little bit more dark than Halloween Town, but
it's not the same thing. I'm just saying it gave that kind of vibe of
Halloween for the whole fucking month of October.
So we don't know that part yet, but that's okay. Blythe gets like a PTSD moment when she hears a cell phone ring that's the same ringtone as her stepfather. We learn what an evil man her stepfather is. He murdered her mother and posed it as a suicide, basically got away with it. And she has been on the run from him for a while, going town to town, but he has been catching up with her. He keeps sending her these blank letters to let her know that he's knows where she is and that he'll be there.
And it's basically just a tormentor at this point.
Right. There's a sequence that follows that we learn kind of a little later, but we'll set the precedent now that the letters come and then somebody near her dies. And then
say Jesus fucking Christmas because this is Halloween, Ariel. Get your shit together.
This is Halloween.
This is Halloween.
This episode has now become a drinking episode. So every time we say this is Halloween, you're supposed to take a shot. You're welcome. Just kidding. Kind of. Not really. Drink at your own risk.
Do that, you're gonna fucking die.
So she immediately goes self-care, knows what she needs. She immediately goes to her therapist's office and is like, I'm having a crisis moment. I need help. Her therapist is not in. She asks for whoever's available. Gatekeeper at the desk is like, nope, big fat fucking nope. When this handsome as fuck man comes out and is like, I'll see you now. So she spills her guts to this handsome Dr. Cove and explains all about the stepfather and the stalking and the letters and him hunting her. And shocker, because this is a book and this is a Halloween book.
Shock.
Dr. Cove is not a regular doctor, and her fear just fires him right up.
Yes, it does. In more than one way.
In more than ways than one. So she becomes his new fixation and he follows her home. Not that she knows
and
that,
not an oral fixation like the Shakira album.
He cancels all his clients for the day. Those clients didn't have any real problems except, being trapped here. My other clients, well, their problems were my fault anyway. Because nobody can leave this town. Once you're in, you're in.
It's like a gang.
You're never getting out. Except you can't get killed to get out. They've tried that too. That's not happening either.
So it's not like the mafia. Because the mafia, the only way out was death. You know what it's like? It's like our book club.
Crystal's gonna follow me through death.
I'm gonna haunt you, bitch. We're gonna haunt people together.
First rule of book club is you don't talk about book club. Just kidding. We always talk about book club. That's the opposite.
What's Fight Club?
I know.
I know. Oh, God.
Anyways.
We're never getting through this book.
No, this is... Good luck editing this one. So he calls his boys to prepare them because he has found a victim. And
it's
not gonna lie,
clear. I thought he was gonna murder her this whole time.
I did too, for a chapter or two.
For a while, actually.
Oh no, it was a chapter or two for me where I was like, wow, is he gonna want to kill her and then his love is gonna overcome that? That's where I thought that was gonna go for like a chapter or two, and then I was like, oh, just kidding.
Because then he makes his intentions clear as to what he actually does, but for a while I thought he was literally gonna murder her.
I kind of almost wish
I was completely
thought
okay
longer
with it.
like you. I know. I was gonna say I
was living in a dream world. Are you kidding me? This whole book I was living in my own fantasy world.
Yeah. Well, because she called herself Ghost, but I was going to be the one to haunt her.
Ugh,
Like,
love
come
it.
on now.
You know, that
So,
gives really big, like, Zayd vibes.
I know,
Ugh,
dude,
yes.
seriously. So
Sorry.
he calls his boys. They're going to prepare. He goes to this little witchy shop to ask for a favor of the shopkeeper. We don't know what that means yet. Well, we do because we finished the book, but at this part of the book, we don't know what that means yet. So we're going to move on to the next part where Blythe thinks that
Yes.
her death, if we haven't said already, Crystal drank a little bit tonight and I'm running off of no sleep. So we're sorry.
I'm gonna
Specials are
tell you,
usually a hot mess anyways. So
it's our
you know what
final
you're
of
in for.
and this is our final of October, so here you go.
You know what you're in
Happy
for.
Halloween.
This is Halloween. Take a shot now. Anywho, Blythe thinks that death is inevitable for her because she's been running. She's tired of running. She thinks that it's just a matter of time before he catches up with her and kills her. She doesn't want bystanders to get hurt. Like I said, there's a pattern to this man. The letters come, and then a bystander gets killed, and then she sees him, and she's trying to avoid that middle. And when she puked up all her guts and stories to, not literally, to Dr. Cove in the office, he told her about Hallows Fest. And Hallows Fest is when Ash Grove celebrates Halloween all night long. Basically, everything shuts the fuck down for the month of October, and every single night, all beings, which she doesn't know that it's legit yet, all beings truly are themselves and come out and party and celebrate and just do their thing every night.
And I remember she was asking him too if he goes, and he goes, "No, I can't because my job prevents me from doing it."
So the town's business people in their contracts are supposedly prohibited from attending this, but it's all costumed. They all just go anyways.
So when you go to this thing, you have to be in costume and basically be unrecognizable to the person you are during the daytime. Because it's like this huge thing, which honestly, I would fucking love this shit. This shit was great. But like for the whole month, but everything shuts down at a certain
It's like
time
at
of night.
sundown kind of thing.
Yeah, and
she even, we can get into that later, but she even explains it like even people she thinks she recognizes, it's almost like there's a haze around the whole thing where she feels like she's almost in a drugged state where she
I was gonna say
literally
it's
can't.
basically if you took ecstasy and then just went to a Halloween thing, that haze around you. I've never taken ecstasy. I'm just gonna put that out there right fucking now. But I'm just saying it's as if you like took something like that and then just kind of went to this. It's kind of dope though.
So with her feeling like her death is inevitable, she decides that this Hallows Fest thing is going to be the last thing that she's going to do, and she's going to enjoy this before she dies. Even though she's not one to get out much, she decides this is what she's going to do.
I mean,
so then she heads to go costume shopping, and she goes to that shop that Dr. Cove had gone to ask for a favor. And then we find out that favor, he basically paywalled her to get all her costumes and get set up for the whole thing. And we meet
Yesenia.
And which, when Dr. Cove had gone and asked Yesenia for the favor, she read his palm and she was startled by what she saw in his love life. And it was interesting. We don't really get a lot, but
just talk about how on a typical person they have the love line and it leads into, if you have a lover, they're together. And then leads into death. And then but his is, it's him and
goes
his
on
lover
inevitably.
run parallel to each other. And then death,
they don't end.
Yeah, it doesn't end, and then of course there's death basically follows them. Is essentially
it says
what
most people's love lines cross off or end, with dying, normal, let's grow old together stuff, but your love and life partner's line runs parallel with death, like side by side.
It
as
freaks her
if
out.
Yeah, she like trails off and stops talking, and he's like, "A neat party trick." So she gets all her costumes, heads to work. She works at a restaurant. She's on alert all the time because she's used to watching out for this maniac.
She's consistently looking over her shoulder because she's moved from town to town and consistently having to watch out for her stepfather because he's haunted her every single time he's gone to every single town. So she's consistently looking over her shoulder, seeing if people are at her car or anywhere in general. And she's got such a big situational awareness because of the situation going on in her life.
Right. And she hasn't had any luck with law enforcement or people helping her. And even
Surprise.
Dr. Cove,
Sorry.
right. Even Dr. Cove being like, no, I know people in high places, I can help you. And she's over here like, dude, the sheriff picked up takeout last week from the top of his lawnmower because his police cruiser battery died. Was he going to mow my stepdad to death? I have no faith in this system. Oh, she's just, I mean,
Cute.
fair.
Every single fucking book we've read that has
I
had
was just about to say that.
You know what reminds me?
Gee, I wonder, real life?
Real life too, but it reminds me of There Are No Saints and There Is No Devil, where the police officer did not fucking believe her that the serial killer was out for her. Here we are again.
Or what about the games we play?
Yeah, no shit, the fucking cops in that book, douchebags.
So she's on alert, and she, out the window while she's at work at the restaurant, she sees Dr. Cove by her car. She's kind of like, what you doing? And she goes out and confronts him. And he recovers fairly nicely from putting a tracker on her car. And I noticing that your tires look low. So I was just checking them. And he offers to bring her over to the gas station to fix them, and gets her all fixed up with gas and air and feels better about her driving off. Takes care of her a little.
She keeps making comments about it. She's, but what about this? He goes, oh no, I can't just go here and not put gas in the car. I can't just go to this gas station to do the air in your tires and not put gas in your car. Boy, you are not being smooth. Though, if anyone wants to put gas in my car, I won't say no because that shit's expensive.
Then Dr. Cove heads out to boys' night. Jesus fuck. And they strategize. And this is probably when Crystal realized that they were actually after the stepfather and not Blythe, because
I don't know if this was also the part I got really fucking confused about. There was a part where he went back and they all attacked him. And I think what it was is because they utilized different names for everybody. So I had known them by the other name, but then they started using other names and he walked in and everyone started attacking him, but he was like super happy about it and he got a thrill from it. I got so fucking confused.
You should have seen my notes when that was going on. I was like,
because
wait, this and then this.
Okay, because that's literally of this entire
because
book.
that's when we learn what their true forms are.
Right.
I felt like it could have been written easier to read for the audience, but I wonder if it was done like on purpose to create that aesthetic.
It's entirely possible. Honestly, that was the only part of this book I got confused about. The rest of it, I was okay, and I could understand what was going on, but that one particular part really got me.
It took a second to like work out who was who because they were using the other names. It was all figured out by the end of them doing it, but it just, like I said, I don't know if it was strategically like that on purpose. I'm assuming it probably was, but anywho, Blythe's not having a grand old time because she wakes up in a puddle. And at first she thought it's just from the wet dream she was having, but it's not because her apartment's flooded. She has been staying in a basement apartment of this old man's house, Mr. Moore. So she heads outside, like trying to figure out what's going on.
So it's Mr. and Mrs. Moore.
Right.
That we know of.
But we only see her interact with Mr. Moore. So she goes outside and talks to Mr. Moore. And he's like, I'm so sorry. We have a leak. We're going to fix it. You know, my wife made up the guest bedroom for you for now. Blah, blah, blah.
Like,
in this case.
The sweetest old man.
Weird, but sweet. He sweeps every day. Yeah. So he hands her this letter. He's like, oh, this came for you, by the way. And dread. She sees what that is. And she panics and has to get the fuck out of there. And she just needs to go breathe. And she goes to the diner to get something to eat and just breathe for a minute. And she meets Onyx, who we know that Onyx is one of the Halloween boys. And he is a half dragon, half vampire lawyer. And he's kind of flirting with her a little bit. And
kinda.
Okay, whatever.
None of the men in this book are obvious.
Kind of anything. Yeah. Well, they're all hot, so she's all having a grand old time with it.
I mean, I don't blame her. I
Right.
would also have a grand
So
old time with it.
I'm interested to see how this dragon vampire thing works. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Maybe if a tail came into play.
we like this tail action.
Listen, a tail action with the fangs. Okay, continue. Sorry. We're living in our own dream world
With
here.
that, the heat, yeah. We're not going to do that for this episode. Crystal has drank too much for that. We're not going to create our own scenes here. So she heads to the shop because all of her clothing has been soaked and kind of destroyed. She doesn't have much anyways, but she heads to the shop to see if she could pick up a couple things for right now, emergency kind of situation. And she meets Marceline, who is Yesenia's grandmother.
This old bitch. The problem is that she's been in this town for so fucking long. And spoiler, she knows the boys. And she's just such a bitch.
I mean, she has a right to kind of be.
Okay, I trust me when we figure out why she doesn't like them, I understand it, but like still, man.
Crystal's on the
It's
Halloween boys
been
side.
a long time. Probably let this shit go.
She's stuck there. It's a daily reminder.
I don't know. Find a hobby.
She does. It's hating them.
We find a new hobby. I don't know.
Anyways,
what they are. There's your new hobby.
She meets Marceline. Marceline warns her away from them, especially Ames, Dr. Cole. And then after all this has happened with the letter, the warning, meeting new people, she decides that she could really use the support group that Dr. Cove had told her about when they had met. So she heads there to this like abandoned church where the support group is being held. And shocking, but the support group is only made up of the Halloween boys. And so she meets Wolf and sees Ames and Onyx there and everything. Judas is not there because Judas, who we learn is a devil, he's off trying to find leads on the devil that cursed this whole town and did all this jazz. And that's why he's gone so
Even
much.
though he's like a devil himself, but
he is, but he's not the one who did the cursing. So he needs to find the original. So
original, not the originals, which is a CW
right.
show.
So she shows them the letter that she got, and they're
angry. So every letter that she's ever gotten has been blank on the pages. So she's been like, every time he sends me a letter, it's always blank. They took a look at it and they're like visibly angry. So obviously, especially as you're reading, you're realizing that like there is something.
This letter is not blank.
Yes. This letter is not
and
blank.
And they flat out say that it's not blank.
Yeah, and it's something that only they can see and she cannot see it.
And they said that it's only somebody of their kind could have written it.
Correct.
So that this man, whoever her stepfather is, must be of their kind or have help from their kind.
Which weaves the web even more of all the crazy shit happening.
So through all this and them getting upset about it and her freaking out about it, she spirals into a panic attack and Onyx sedates her.
Yeah, I know.
Because
with a touch, because he's got the vampire touch.
Onyx has this nifty power where he just touches her and she blacks the fuck out. So that's cool.
She can do a lot of things when Onyx touches her. Black out, feel pleasure, feel like a lot of things. Can we like have people who are
when
actually
is
like
Onyx
that?
Book? No.
I think it's the next book.
So she wakes up from her blacking out moment in this commune with Wolf. She wakes up in this little tiny house and she learns about this tiny house community that they're in because it's a women-run tiny house community, but it's a wolf pack. But I mean, she don't know that. But
and his name is Wolf.
Well, his name is Wolfgang, but no, and not Wolfgang Pup. It's like Wolfgang Jack or something like that.
Listen, my favorite people of Twilight was the wolf pack.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm definitely into the wolf shifts.
And honestly, having a woman run one is amazing.
Yeah, I'm definitely into the wolf shifters.
Fabulous.
So she's got this flooded apartment. They're looking to kind of help her and keep after her. That he offers her one of the tiny houses to stay and live. She declines, but he offers. It's cute. While that's going on, Ames goes to see Kat. And Kat is a cat.
Cat.
Kat is Ames's familiar.
And she is
And
a spicy cat.
yes.
I really like
She's
her,
not
actually.
a spicy taco. She's a spicy cat. She helps Ames guard the gates of hell. And that's, it's a big job.
Legitimately her job, just her job.
Yep.
That's it.
She
So
hangs
fucking
out in the
funny.
graveyard. Yep. And he wants to know if it's possible that the stepfather or whoever's helping came from within Hell's Gates and there's somebody who escaped. And she's like, no.
Yeah, because they can usually sense people and they didn't know that he was there. And, like,
But
this
they didn't
just
even sense
happened.
her coming.
Exactly.
And they can't sense her at all. It bothers the shit out of Ames that he can't sense her. That's why he put a tracker on her car. And
yeah, it bothers a lot of people in the town too. Everyone who interacts with her can't get a read on her at all. There's legitimately nothing. My favorite thing is that they joke and they call her the blue dot.
I know.
Funny.
Or a little ghost. Yeah.
Or a little ghost. Yeah, it's interesting. So he went to Kat because he goes, hey, this fucking just appeared. But, like, how did this happen? It has to be someone who's already here. Because obviously they would have known if someone just came into town and just did this.
Riding on a pony.
And Kat's like, are you fucking kidding me right now? This is my job, bitch. You think I don't know if something is
You left me in charge.
from the font.
Don't question me.
Right? Bitch, hell fucking no.
I don't need to be micromanaged. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Hell yeah.
If you know, you know. Okay. So after Blythe leaves Wolf, she gets to go to the first night of Hallows Fest. And she gets all dolled up in her fox costume. And on her way in, she meets Esmeralda, who is dressed as a vampire. And
spoiler alert, she's a vampire.
While Blythe is at Hallows Fest and hanging out with and meeting all these people like Esmeralda, the vampire, and Vincent, the vampire, and all these people, Ames is there dressed as a skeleton man, and he is clearly marking his territory. He is giving them some looks and making sure they know that she's his, and the warning is there. And then they share a dance, and she's like, cool, bitch, I like this. I like your dangerous vibe.
Really likes danger.
And then he goes home and he meets up with his boys, and they have been looking for evidence or video footage, trying to track down the stepfather. And they finally have a gas station camera from a little while back that has him on camera with her. And they can clearly see from this footage that he is some sort of demon. So they're like,
doesn't he see the camera, go after the camera, and then destroy it super quickly too?
Yep, after he fucks with her. So they get breakfast together.
And they're like, what the fuck is this bitch bringing into this town? What is happening? Because usually they don't interact with the victim of the bad people, and they just do the murder thing.
But they're
so concerned because they're like, this is not easy, because they're now interacting with her.
Not only that, but they're like sucked into her web.
Well, they're sucked into her, and they're like more focused like with her, but they're like, now what the actual fuck is happening? Because you have this entity that's following her, and this is not at all like the entities that usually follow the people, and she's able to get what?
You just say entity, so funny.
I don't. Entities.
I know you don't. I know.
Entity.
No, I know you go entity.
Okay, because
it was cute.
That are following her. It was cute.
I was like entity, like Kennedy without the K. Entity.
Yeah. Okay. Because these entities that is following her, this entity that is following her.
Crystal's like, I don't need to enunciate shit, bitch.
No, fuck no, I don't want to do that shit. That's too much work. The entity that is following her around. It's like
there's a fuck you in every fucking T in that word.
The entity that I'm going to fucking throw into the Boston Harbor because this is Halloween. Just kidding.
This is Halloween. Take a shot now.
This is the Boston Tea Party. Just kidding.
Where did that come from?
Entity, if I threw the T in the
Oh,
harbor
I
party.
gotcha.
It was there.
It's like, we're on
Anyways,
Halloween.
This entity that has been following her around, they're just shocked because normally they don't have this shit following, and they're like, what the titties is happening? And they're like, fuck. Well, now we gotta do more work.
They're actually kind of excited about it, but they're also wondering how she could have attracted this. It's mind-boggling, the situation.
It's an
So
experience.
they meet up with her for breakfast because they know where she's going to be, and they all have breakfast with her at the diner next morning. And they convince her to go to the library with them because they've decided that they're going to show her kind of who they are. But then they chicken out.
Our book chickens.
I thought you were saying books up in the library or something. Anyways, they go back to Ames' place and hang out, and she gets to see where he lives, and they play some video games, and
My kind of day.
then they feel the air shift.
Oh, just it's not that good.
Where the fuck is Angie for this one?
Get some of these screen grabs, and she's like, what the? They feel the rhythm of the night.
Because this is Halloween. I'm gonna need to start drinking now. This is your cue.
Can't get drunk, which is so unfortunate. I'm crying, by the way.
Because I'm a poor, unfortunate soul. No
So
alcohol for me.
So sad.
This one wanting to be drinking. This one wanting to be drunk. Can I get drunk? No, I can't. Anyways, they feel the energy shift in the air, and they go out. They're like, oh,
they can feel the magic in the air, but disaster's not in the air.
Feel the.
That's where I because I was like, okay, maybe.
Anyways, they feel the presence of the demon. I'm gonna get through this.
Are we? I don't think we're ever.
And they head outside to go like gangbusters to go try to fight this demon, and they leave.
Who are you gonna call?
Blythe with Onyx.
Busters.
The Halloween boys.
I just said gangbusters.
Because this is Halloween.
This is
Halloween. Take a shot now.
Drink your drink.
Which alcohol would like to be our promotional for this episode? So
Brought
anyways,
to you by a lot of different alcohols. Seltzer. So we're free.
This episode is brought to you by water. Because this is Halloween. Drink your drink now. Drink your drink. Anyways, so
we call home. And continue.
They head outside, and they're surrounded by dead foxes. And the way I read it, it wasn't even like foxes the way we know foxes. It was like supernatural foxes. Did you get that same vibe?
Yeah, this episode is brought to you by Supernatural.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Anyway, they run after the trail that the demon, the ghoul, they figure out they can smell it or whatever, that it's a ghoul. They run after it, and they catch up with it. Ames and Wolf battle the ghoul. And the ghoul is all like, no, he'll get you. And my master sent me and blah, blah. And Wolf's like, it's lying, blah, blah. And it was a really weird scene because then it almost seemed like the other wolves came and shut him up. Like the wolves had something to do with the situation. So I kind of thought that's where it was going for a little bit. It was weird. Spoiler alert, they don't. Or at least in this book. So, cool beans. So, they take out the ghoul, send him off with the wolves to get tortured. And Ames heads back to make sure that Blythe is okay. Because, you know, crisis happened and Onyx just freaking made her pass out again. Because, you know. So, when she wakes up.
He's just trying to protect her mental state.
Yeah, but she keeps just passing out around these people.
Yeah, but I want him to do those things to me because those dreams sound great.
So when she wakes up, she sees Ames, and Ames talks to her, and Ames confesses that he wants her, and she reacts really strangely to this, especially with how much she wants him, and kind of basically runs away.
I wouldn't run away. And all you had to do was stay.
Right. I was like, so we learn that Blythe has been having these like visions / kind of daydreams where she feels like she's kind of in the present, Like she's there. So it's almost like she's kind of astral projecting in a sense. And I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. That never really got fully mapped out or explained. So she goes to the shop because apparently that's all there is to do in this place. And she sees Yesenia and she's talking with Yesenia, and Yesenia is asking her, what are you doing now that the restaurant's shut down for the month? Because that's where she was working, the restaurant. And she's like, I don't know. Like my landlord waived the month of rent because of the leak, but I really should be obviously saving for next month. She's like, well, we really need some help here. And we have a room above the shop that you can stay in. We can't pay a lot, but you can stay for free if you work. And she takes Yesenia up on that offer.
Honestly, I would too.
And
Shop sounds dope. I'm just saying.
so she's looking for a place to change to go to the next night of Halloween Fest. And so the crow points her in the right direction.
Dude,
and
the
goes to find
crow,
Yesenia.
amazing.
And that's so she changes the shop.
Because everywhere she looks, this crow is just kind of pushing her
Helping
along,
her, guiding her a little bit.
Because obviously anyone who reads this would understand this crow's a familiar. It makes a lot of sense. But she's not realizing that it is, but yeah.
And basically that next chapter, it's spelled out that he is her familiar, if you didn't know already. So she gets to hang out with all kinds of different people at the House Fest. She sees the witches there. They are startled by her palm and her lines, kind of like they were with Ames. And they also make a mention that she doesn't have an aura. And it's really weird. And
everybody has an aura, and it's weird that she doesn't. And they don't know
Right.
how to feel. And then that mixed with her palm is really weird as well.
And so then she goes and hangs out with the pirates.
I fucking love the pirates!
Has a grand old time with the pirates. And they offer her some stories, and she gets to ask them who Ghost is. That's who people keep referring to, the skeleton man that follows her around. And
because there's also been stories going around about the town's history and the Halloween boys as well. So she wants to know more about Ghost and more about the Halloween.
She wants somebody to give her an actual full story instead of random pieces.
Exactly. Honestly, I would be the same way. If someone gives me bits and pieces of this fucking town's lore and everything, I want to know everything. What was this huge massacre as to...
It's almost like you would want to read a prequel before a book so you could know everything.
How about you can fucking eat me? No, I want to know about this town.
She only wants to know if it interests her.
Exactly, duh. So it's just
self-serving.
They go on about how the reason that they celebrate and do this month-long celebration is basically for the people of the town who got massacred.
Well, she learns that the story of the town is that in 1823 that all kinds of women went missing suddenly. And then all of a sudden, nightly, these random dead bodies were found on the square. Night after night, these dead men were found on the square. And the town kind of rioted, and then it is said that the town was then burned to the ground with everyone in it. And since then, everyone has been trapped there.
Yeah, and they say that the people who did it were the Halloween boys. That was their huge thing.
They think that the Halloween boys are the ones that took the women and murdered the men and all this stuff.
So the whole town has been trapped there. So it was cool to hear, because throughout the whole beginning, you're getting the bits and the pieces of the story and learning different history of this town, like leading up to all of this. And so when the pirates, because fucking pirates, hell yeah, they give her the full story so she can kind of get that. And it's really cool. Like, you know what I want? I want a book of that time period, of exactly that whole story. I would kill for that shit. That would be amazing, to get a whole book based on that whole massacre and the missing women.
World building in this concept was really neat.
Oh, I loved it. I literally wanted to live in this town.
And we talked about this a lot. This book was really dense for being only like a 300-page book. There was a lot in it. There was a lot of intricate little
You get
pieces and
the thing is you don't only just get the character building, you do get the story building and the world building. So you get this whole.
I almost feel like
I
we
wish there
missed
was
out a
more.
little bit on the character building because there
Well,
was
yeah.
so much world building. But
Yes, I mean, there's 3 other books, so maybe we get more as we go along. We don't know. We haven't read the
right,
other
this
ones,
might have just
but
been that building block of
so it stinks that, you know, sometimes you either get the full world building or you get the character building and you can't get both. I wish there was more.
and it is
There was
hard
still-
to do in a
it's
small amount of pages.
Exactly.
But
And there's a rough balance, but I did appreciate the world building that was done in this book because I wanted to live in it. I
Yeah, it
wanted
was
to
very
live
cool.
in this world. It was amazing. I feel like if we had a lot of character building and there wasn't so much world building, we'd be complaining about the fact there wasn't enough world building and we didn't feel connected into the town.
especially since there was like little comments along the way. Ames said at one point, he was like, we might have made some sort of sense together, Onyx and me. We'd explored it a few nights here and there over the years, but we always landed somewhere between friends and more. We were both comfortable and I wasn't looking to change it. But there's all these little comments dropped here and there that
I wish were explored more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. While she's having her fun, after she gets her story, she's entrusted to the crows because Ames has to take off because Kat arrives and calls him quick because she says someone escaped from the gates. And he's like, fuck. So they're looking for whoever escaped. During the next week, he doesn't really see Blythe again because of her rejection of him. He's giving her space. And in his own like inner monologue, keeps replaying what she said, that he was basically like this meek, mild, sensitive man because that's how he portrays himself as his human character. And he's just like, that's what she thought of me. And that fucking hurt. It hurt. Nothing gets to fucking hurt me. And because I'm ruined now, all I had in my head was your voice. And I was this tiny little man feelings.
I just loved his inner dialogue a lot, especially when it switched over to his point of view. Because outwardly, in her chapters, he portrays this put together man. And then, like, when you read his chapters, he goes, God, I fucking hate myself as this person. Like, he doesn't enjoy
the persona that he has to show.
He knows he has to put that face on to the world to show, and he fucking hates it. And it's so fucking funny.
And now that he realizes that's all she sees him as, it's like a big slap in the face to him. And he's just so upset over it because he's nothing hurts my feelings. What the fuck is this shit? And he's all I had was you in my head over like a repeat on record. It was just like this tiny little man feelings, and I was like,
Crystal, shut the fuck up.
I can't think for myself anymore.
Listen, I hear you in my brain a lot. A lot of spots.
Yeah. So that's
what happens,
and
baby.
He watches her go through the motions and gets to hang out with Wolf and gets to hang out with Onyx and go through the motions. And he kind of resigns himself and he's like, I could live like this until she died peacefully of old age. I could follow her and look after her. Then when she left her physical body, I'd find her soul and follow it too. And I'd be okay with that. Like,
and I'm so
this is a perfectly acceptable way to live.
And I'm so fucked up. And I'm like, oh, that's so romantic and so cute.
But during this week,
Happy October!
Right? This is Halloween.
This is Halloween.
Take a drink.
God, you guys are going to be drunk by the end of this episode.
Oh, this is on a Monday.
Happy Monday. Did your Monday also suck? Wait, this comes out at 6 a.m. Is your Monday going to suck today? But you know what? This is Halloween. So drink. It's okay. Get through this.
It's close enough.
Listen,
it's close enough.
This is the 23rd of October.
So it's not quite Halloween, but it's close enough. It's close enough.
Unless you're me and you don't work on Monday. Who are we to judge? We are not judgy people.
I am.
We 100% are.
I was going to say, have you listened to any of this? I'm a very judgy person.
Okay. We will not judge you if your day is going to be shit and you need a little pick-me-up. This is brought to you
Time.
by Crystal Drunk on Tea and other beer.
And not the entity.
No, I would love to be
And
drunk on that entity. Oh, sorry.
Right. So during this time that he's watching her and all that, she has dinner with the Moores, or dinner
My
with
fucking nightmare.
Mr. Moore.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this is my fucking nightmare. Absolute
Creepy
nightmare.
as fuck.
So creepy as fuck. Okay.
Why don't you explain what's going on first?
She goes upstairs, and she's never been upstairs to have dinner with this man. And this room is filled with dolls.
The upstairs. The whole upstairs.
The whole entire upstairs is filled with fucking dolls.
And I'm pretty sure they were porcelain dolls.
They were, which makes it worse.
Somehow.
Oh, he goes, where is Mrs. Moore? Where's Mrs. Moore, do you ask? She is a fucking doll. Do you want to know who else?
Oh, she's right here.
Do you want to know who else is a fucking doll? His daughter, Ellie. Do you want to know what else fucking happens? These goddamn dolls,
Very
they
creepy.
laugh. Absolutely fucking no fuck out of here.
She did get the fuck out of there. She was
Dude,
like, nope. Well, okay. So she
Sorry,
really tried
let's
hard to
just-
stick it out until Mr. Moore is like, oh, your dad came by yesterday. Did he find
Yeah.
you? And she was like, what? Who? No, I need you to describe this man. And he did. And she goes, my stepfather? And he says his name. He goes,
yeah.
he was like, and then the dolls start laughing maniacally, and she fucking gets it the fuck out of there.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't have a lot of fears in life. Okay. I have some. Spiders, duh. The one thing I do not enjoy is porcelain dolls. And especially if porcelain dolls started laughing in like a childlike, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
She
me the
decides
fuck
it's
out of
time
there.
to get the fuck out of there, and she wants to get the fuck out of this town now. So she starts driving, and she finds the exit. And it's, what's that TV show where they were like trapped in the, oh, it's on the Apple TV. It's Schmigadoon, where they're trapped in the town and they try to leave and then they end up back right where they started again. That's what she's doing when she's driving. She's exiting and she ends up back where she started again. And she just keeps doing it and she's freaking the fuck out. So then she goes to try to go the other way. And then there's this man in the street and she has to emergency put on her brakes. And the man in the street is none other than Ames, of course. And so she's hysterical. She's explaining everything to him. And then it all tumbles out about how she actually killed her stepfather. One of the first times he physically caught up with her, she, in self-defense, killed him.
She stabbed him.
And in a complete stress reaction, basically stood over his body for an entire day,
to
waiting
make sure that
he didn't move. Yeah. And then thought she was free and left. And then he still was following her. And she's explaining all this to him. And I mean, Ames knows that it's really a demon. So, you know. And this is where things get a little weird. So,
this is where things get weird?
Okay, bear with me for a minute.
Okay.
So Ames tells her that he wants to fuck her, basically. And she's like, dude, I'm worth more than that. And you're too good for me. And they haven't seen each other in a week. And
It's like, but I really
she
want to fuck you.
gets word that her stepfather's like right there. And she's scared out of her fucking mind, finds out she can't leave this fucking town. And then all of a sudden, he starts fucking her with his demon tongue. I'm like, that escalated fucking quickly.
Really did.
Hot, but it escalated fucking quickly. Just
Because-
saying.
Because he's got a forked demon tongue, even.
Yeah, he does, and it's long and
It
because this is Halloween.
This is Halloween. Trick or treat. Oh my god. I'm gonna put this out into the universe. This has got to be one of our most unhinged episodes. And that's
You were
saying a
there
lot.
for the first 15, weren't you? We couldn't even follow a storyline. You kidding me?
We're literally barely following storyline right now.
That's true. And when he was done, he was all sad because he's like, my fun tongue was replaced with my boring one.
So he can switch between his human form and his demon form. And like his demon form really wants to come out and
And
play.
she had
Like,
no idea because
consistently.
his head was just down there.
And she does apparently taste like honey. I would love any man in this universe to tell me that I taste like honey. And you know what?
Well, he says
That would make me
because he
feel
says
better.
arousal tastes like honey to him.
You know what? That's okay.
Which we find out that arousal
wanna
tastes like honey to her too.
You want to boost my ego?
They're not going to say that because that's not real human.
No, because it's a real dude. And
Yeah. So she gets to go to Hallows Fest again because this is an every night thing. And she meets this little spirit, the spirit of the willow, and gives her this amulet, asks her to play a game of hide and seek. But then the boys find her and ward her off because he's like,
and they're
yeah,
like,
you don't accept
like-
games with spirits.
and she goes, yeah, but what if I already did?
So she's seeing all these creatures kind of in a new light, and cue Crystal's rant now.
Is it the rant about how I don't know how this bitch doesn't know that any of this shit is real? Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the thing. I guess it comes from just being a reader. I knew very quickly that all of this shit was real in a town. And honestly, if I was put into a town like this, it would not take me bargaining with a spirit to play hide and seek to realize that the pirates are actually pirates, the vampires are actually vampires, and this
Well,
shit
it was
is all
actually
fucking real.
so after she bargained with the spirit when she met up with the boys, after the boys took her and with the crow and they were walking by, and I think Esmeralda tumbled out with the pirate or something, and he had
and blood like dripping down. I don't give a shit. And she goes, "That's real blood." I'm like, "Yeah, no fucking shit, you dumbass."
Okay.
I understand that you're going to defend her in a second, but I just want to state that no matter what, every little thing that has happened to this woman in this fucking town, she could not leave the town. She got bounced fucking back. All this weird fucking shit is happening to her. It's so fucking obvious that this is not, oh my god, it's such a cute little Halloween town. No, bitch, this shit's real. You dumb cunt bag. Okay? I had to get the word in there. It's obvious. I know you're going to defend her in a second. I'm just saying it's so.
I'm not going to necessarily defend her. I'm just going to read what she says.
She's so stupid.
So.
Sorry. Rant over! Because
it explains your frustration.
I
get why you were frustrated, but it's when she decides, because I was getting really frustrated for a little bit too, because I was like, I know they said about the druggy kind of thing and all this shit, but I'm sorry, is this Clark Kent world or something where you just put a pair of glasses on or a mask and you just suddenly can't tell that someone's face is someone's face? Because is Ghost Ames? You know what I mean? So, and then there was this. She said, I had an idea of who Ghost was, and I was ready to face it now, all of it. I was going to do it here and now. I thought this whole time that being a clever fox was my mask, when in reality, the only mask I wore was playing dumb, hiding my smarts, my observations, not willing to act or question. I'd gone back to the library early that morning before breakfast with the guys, before they could miss me. I told Ames I was picking up some clothes and showering at the shop. I found the newspaper the boys tried to hide from me, the Halloween boys, and a faded sepia photo of Wolfgang Jack, Onyx Heart, and Ames Cove, looking alive and young as they do now. The rabbit was my mask all along. They wanted to tell me, as evidenced by their conversations I overheard when they thought I was sleeping. I'd already pieced together that Onyx had some sort of hypnotic ability, but he overestimated how long it worked on me, and I used it to my advantage. I just hadn't been brave enough to put the puzzle together until now, and I can't pretend anymore that I don't know what's going on.
So basically, she just literally buried her head in the sand because she didn't want to accept anything as real. Don't care.
She knew it all, but she was feigning ignorance because she was watching the world around her. You have to remember that this girl has been on the run. She killed a man and then was on the run from this freaking demon who
So I think that's where originally my issue is because I'm like, all of this obvious shit is happening. She is supposed to be the super observant woman because every town she's gone to, her stepdad
And then she
has been
reveals
following
that
her.
she is, and she has
Right.
been.
But so originally it was so frustrating, but you go to this town, which is so obvious and out there, and you're just going to, ignore it. And I understand she wanted to just be there. I
think she had resigned herself to death and was just riding.
Cool story, bro. Maybe you could have just used that shit to your advantage. Are you kidding me?
Then the book would have been
different. And I get it as a plot point, but it was so frustrating as a reader because I'm like, you're stupid. Because she goes, you guys can't be real. The ravens, they're just people dressed as ravens. And the vampires, they're not real vampires. Oh my God, these pirates look so real, so wild.
So Ames was off pulling back the demon that had escaped. So that's why he wasn't with her at the Hallows Fest. So they meet up afterwards. They meet up in the cemetery afterwards.
Yeah, they do.
And he shows her his grave.
Oh, I thought you were going to say.
And he shows her his
demon dick.
First, he shows her his human dick.
I know. Not for very long.
No,
that
because
human dick
once it's in there, he just can't not.
The other thing is they commented so much earlier about how he didn't want to claim her because it would basically like damn her soul.
Damn her. Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going to claim her. I'm not going to claim her. Blah, 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 blah. And he goes, if I'm going to claim her, I need to tell her what me claiming her means. And then you know what happens? Right. He doesn't do any of that. Happen. He just does it anyways, and he just fucks her anyway.
He cannot help himself.
No, apparently not. But I'm like sitting here, like, you made such a big deal out of the fact you need to tell her, you need to tell her, you need to let her understand that her and you fucking is such a big deal.
I was worried about that scene because I didn't know if that scene was going to be weird for you because I know that you have an issue with
Hell no, that shit was great though.
Okay, well, because I know sometimes you have an issue with like shifter kind of scenes and where he transformed into his demon self.
He utilized
because I was like, I thought that was hot. Utilized his tongue
and
his smoke.
Advantage.
Yeah, because I was saying, I thought that was hot. I wish it was longer.
Give me like a whole ass like 30-page chapter on that shit. Yes,
it went by a little too quickly for me. Just saying.
Yeah, we're not rewriting that though because it was still really good.
No. Anyways, because this is Halloween.
This is Halloween. Take a drink.
So they are in a cemetery where he finishes in his demon form, and then there's this black ooze that seeps out of.
Is it kind of like tar?
It's what it kind of was described about, which is his like demon cum.
So he made her into. Hold on. I'm sorry for this one. He made her into a tar Twinkie.
What the?
She's a Twinkie because you know how.
But my weird thing was that like it seemed to be like so thick and there that it just was like slathered on her thighs and down her legs, and it was brought up every few pages until she was able to wash it off everywhere she went after that. It was weird because she went to leave. Because he was like, you need to leave now or I'm going to just basically fuck you until you're begging me to stop.
And I could have been like, okay,
I was waiting for it. I was like, dude, give me more. But she did. And then so the spirit finds her in the woods. He's like,
dude, this made me so fucking sad because like.
You did our game. You found me. And then the demon arrives. But the spirit blocks and holds the demon off so she can get away.
Sad.
But
hurt my soul.
And then Onyx shows up to fight. Ghost finally shows up to fight after he like cools himself off and realizes that his smoke is not with her anymore and he can't sense her. And Wolf shows, and Wolf takes her and gets her the fuck out of there and takes her back to the shop where she's staying. And again, everyone knows what's going on because she's got this black fucking tar all over her thighs. And even the witches at the shop know what's going on, right? I'm just walking around with this black cum all over myself.
Flag. Whispering the black cum. You're like, black.
They battle the demon and fight it. They have an epic battle in the woods. They take out the demon, and the demon is very clear that someone sent the demon also. And
Yes.
even though the demon is in the stepfather's body.
Doesn't the demon say something too about it? He makes some like weird declarations.
Yeah, like
her.
She is not yours.
And we were sent to get her, basically, which
right.
is a little
like, right,
wild.
We will do our job. Yeah. So the boys decide to ask Marceline for help. They have a conversation. They decide to ask for help. And this is where we learn why she hates him so much, because Ames had a hand in her death originally.
Basically, Ames is why she's dead. So I get it why she doesn't enjoy him, but at the same time, bitch, you've had many years to get over this. I'm just saying. Help a bitch out. She does also help a bitch out.
After Blythe does the walk of shame into the shop, and
really
the witches,
a walk of shame.
They make her feel like it.
Well,
and the witches see her with all the black tar all over her freaking legs and smell him on her and see what has been done. They set...
Because basically he corrupted her soul at this point.
Right. They set a meeting for her the next morning with them. And so she has a meeting with the witches. She needs a soak to cleanse herself. And she has this vision flash thing like the ones that she's been having, and
because they told her to soak. Yeah, they told her to soak for 30 minutes, and because of this whole vision thing, they come back, they're like, yo, it's been 2 hours. Like, you've been in this stuff for 2 hours. So
the scene is just her in this decayed, charred area, and she can still feel the heat as if it had just been done, and the crow is there, and she just looks to the crow and what happened, and he just turns and says, you did. And then it's over, and they come and get her because she has been in there so long, and they do a few things with her. They have her pick some items, they read her palm, they prick her blood, and they don't like any of the results of what's going on.
And she's like, I don't want to be a fucking science experiment. What the fuck? Like, she's pissed.
Yeah, all to come to say at the end of, they basically tell her, like, for all intents and purposes, according to all of this, you're dead. She's like, I'm alive. Hello. No, according to all of this, you might as well be dead. You are dead.
Insert My Chemical Romance, dead. I love that song, by the way. It's interesting because, like, the whole time, and honestly, I didn't really get that part for the whole thing. I'm like, maybe something's just weird with her, like, this whole time. So that revelation was kind of interesting to me. And again, though, I think what it was too is there was so much going on in this book that my brain was trying so hard to keep up with all the shit that was happening. Mind you, this book is just like slightly over 300 pages. So much happens. So she is like, what the fuck with these witches? And she packs all her shit and gets the fuck out of there. And Ames intercepts her because he's been waiting for her to come out because he can't cross the lines to go in there because it's protected and warded. And they had planned a date, so he takes her on the date, and Crow takes all her stuff back to his house so that she can move in there. And she goes on her date with a demon, and then she sucks some demon daddy dick, which was gross. Did you really have to just
the beginning
say that right now?
Because they mentioned it several times.
I'm well aware, and just so you know, I screenshotted it and had to send it to Angie because I'm like, Ariel is not here yet, but I need you to understand what I am currently reading. And it's when they call him Demon Daddy quite a few times. And I was like, really? Demon Daddy? Really? I don't care about the little demon whore. Cool with that shit. Demon Daddy?
Especially when she has the stepfather, like, trying to kill her. Then it segued just perfectly into her stepdaddy, and he asked what she would like to do with his body now that they took the demon out of it, and it was just a dead body. And they decided to have a bonfire and roast some marshmallows.
You know,
and they give her, during this bonfire, the real story of Ash Grove. And
even
they
they're not,
explained
I
to
don't even
her
think they're even really sure what
the full ins and
fully
outs, because
happened.
they explained to her that, they were just kids then, and all of a sudden there were all these girls being taken, and several of the girls that were taken were sisters of Ames. And
Because
I
of
think it said it was
19?
Wolfgang's
That sounds too many.
15, 6,
15
7
is
sisters,
so
7 brothers.
close.
So it was several of Ames's sisters had been taken. Wolfgang's mother, I believe, had been taken, and then Onyx, is like girlfriend or something, had been taken. So they all had a personal stake in the women that had been taken, and they decided to pull their collective resources and like hunt out the people who had. And they did. They found the people responsible, and they served them up on a silver platter for the town. And those were those dead bodies that were being left on the town each night as they were finding them and killing them. But because of the massacres and because of all this, they were still condemned by the demon who put the curse and the demon who sent those original men for the women, and cursed this town into this whole creation. And so they take her trick-or-treating that night and TP Marceline's house. Of course. Gee, I wonder why she hates them still, Crystal. I wonder why she can't get over it.
Here's the thing is, when they mention it later on, she had a suspicion it was them, but she didn't know fully that it was them.
She knew. She's a witch.
I would too if she treated me the way that she treats them.
They killed her. So they go back to Ames's place, and
it's a church, mind you, by the way.
And they see the church altar, and oh look, it looks like the perfect place to bring out the demon tongue again and put on a show for.
They put on a show, and here's the thing. So this is the only scene I felt in the entire book hinted toward, well, minus the tiny little crumb that they put earlier in the book about the polyam, because it is in the description this is a polyam relationship, and this is the only scene that like kind of.
You have to remember that in the description it says it's a polyam series, not a polyam book.
I understand that, but in this book we got nothing until this scene in the church, which includes a lot of blood.
So
an aggressive amount of blood, guys.
So Ames puts Blythe up on the altar and puts on a show. Honestly,
for can I tell you right now Wolf. That my brain pictured it as like a throne?
Yeah, it was kind of described that way.
Just think the Iron Throne in Game of Thrones.
Oh,
that's Jesus. Like sword. That's what I pictured the whole time.
So that shit was super hot and they couldn't help themselves. So then Onyx and Wolf start getting it on while they're watching the demon tongue do its thing. And yeah, there is a little bit of blood play in it. Crystal had warned me ahead of time, and so it was not as extensive as I went into it thinking. So Onyx bites Wolf's hand so Wolf can give him a hand job with lubrication. And then he goes down on Wolf. And so as a vampire, biting is pleasure. So for his pleasure, while he's going down on him, yes, he does bite him and they both derive pleasure from it. But yeah, that's it.
With a lot of blood.
It doesn't
it's not the
describe
same
it in great detail. It doesn't.
It's not the same as knife play and slicing someone and then licking blood.
And especially with most vampire things, once they lick it, it
I don't
seals.
read
it's
a lot
not,
of vampires. In my brain, I didn't picture it that way because I think they even talked about how there was still blood coming towards the end.
But they're all having a grand old time in the church when Vincent walks in, the freaking vampire Vincent, and warns them that someone has arrived in town. And they're like,
what the fuck?
Okay.
Because like, they can't sense anything, and they're like, we didn't sense
and they know that the witches put up all kinds of extra wards because they asked them to help and blah blah. So
blah blah
blah blah blah blah blah, because this is a vampire, because this is Halloween.
This is Halloween. Trick or treat.
So and actually now
starting
in this book, it actually is Halloween now. So this is Halloween right now in the book. And for the night of Halloween, they are all required to dress in 1800s attire because everyone who actually died that night and didn't just get part of the curse, didn't just die as part of the curse, comes back for that one night only as part of their kind of purgatory too.
And they don't want to confuse them as to the time period, so they always dress that way in respect of the people who are coming back for that night.
So joke's on Blythe because she's the one confused because they're all pointing at her and yelling at her like, "You're the one."
Yeah,
Help
they literally
us.
because they just interact normally, but then I think she speaks, and then one person originally turns to her creepily, which yeah, and then they're like, "You can help us, you can save us," and she freaks out, and then as she freaks out, more people turn and like stare at her.
And Raven has to get her the fuck out of the town square
and it
because
just really gives me such like horror movie vibes of people just like turning and staring, and like it's wild.
This is Halloween. So Raven flies her the fuck out of there. They get back to the actual Hallows Fest area where the Halloween boys are up on the stage. It's their turn to be the band for the night. And Judas has arrived finally. Happy fucking days. They are sounding great with their music and having a good time. But all of a sudden there's like this red haze and a demon is barreling fucking ass to her, and everyone is trying to help get in the way and trying to save her. And Ames kind of busts out, but he takes a demon blade in the side and can't get to her in time, and she's taken.
Poison demon blade too.
Well, it's because it's a demon blade that it's poisonous to him.
I'm just putting it out in the universe that,
yeah,
in case you didn't know, it's also poison. Not just a blade that can hurt a demon, it has poison in it. The poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison.
So the demon that took her is none other than Ellie Mae Moore, Mr. Moore's daughter.
Wild.
So she was one of the missing girls originally, because remember that devil had his minions be taking the girls. So she had been transformed into this demon, and now she's working for the devil. And her job is to like take Blythe back to the demon before Blythe figures out who and what she is.
I don't know why this demon fucking wants Blythe. What's so special about this bitch?
Because Blythe can unlock the curse.
I know, I'm just saying. At this point in the story, I was like,
so
why do they want Blythe?
Right. Well, I just spoiled it. So Blythe figures out through one of her flashes and all that jazz, Blythe is the key to all of this and why the demon wants her and everything, because Blythe is death itself. And Blythe is the key to fixing this curse.
Which is why no one can detect her, because she's literally a Reaper.
Yep.
And they did say that there has not been a Reaper for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So they obviously wouldn't have known that she was one, because no one
haven't encountered one
idea,
in a long time. So instead of destroying Ellie Mae, she sets her free and brings her back to her father and sets them both free. And then she sets the rest of the town free. Raven, who had been by her side this whole time, Ellie Mae killed, but with her new power, she's able to revive and have as her familiar again.
The whole thing with Mr. Moore and Ellie almost broke me, because it was so fucking sweet. Because this old man, he said that he was sweeping the street in case she came home, and I'm sitting here and my fucking soul is breaking for this man, because like he's just sitting here, and because they erased his memory so he wouldn't remember that like she's actually gone, to have her come back, and it was so sweet, and I almost cried. I didn't cry, but I almost cried. It's really close.
I did not. So then we have 2 months later, where we find out that Onyx is heading off to go find his family, because he's been trapped in this town and he hasn't been able to go find his family this whole time. So he's going to go do that. And everybody decides to go on the road and join him. And that's where our next book is going to take us, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, because the next book is Onyx's book.
So on the road again.
I can't wait to get on the road again. To the next book, let's go on the road with Onyx and his half-dragon vampire dick.
So that was Ghost. That was the book. Because this is Halloween. Had to get one more in there. right.
Okay. So
Who's your least favorite character?
we're going backwards.
Oh, okay. Who's your favorite character? All right, brain is broken.
Favorite character, honestly, I really liked Wolf. I liked
Okay.
him. Him and I don't even know. I like the 3 Halloween boys, to be honest. Well,
4.
okay. So I
No,
liked
Judas.
3 of the 4 because Judas was not really in this book. I couldn't get a real
Though I
read
think
on
he's
him.
gonna be a growly, like he doesn't really talk much. I don't
He's
know.
gonna be a growly.
One of the only times he ever talked to her was like in the like epilogue kind of chapter, and he was just basically like, "The devil will claim you when he's ready," kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
I
was
will
like,
say I did have one highlight in here which made me happy, and it was from Onyx actually. So maybe Onyx was up there with me. And he just goes, "I'm only half vampire, and that half is very offended you think me some sort of nymphomaniac. I am a consent king." And I was like, I love this. Honestly, if I was not going to pick the boys, I would have picked Yesenia. She was a fucking goddamn breath of fresh air.
like
and
a
I loved her.
goddamn vampire, except she was a witch.
Except she was a witch. Yeah. I liked her a lot. She was a really good friend. And her personality, so she was good. So I liked Yesenia and the Halloween boys. How about you?
Yeah, I wish the characters were fleshed out more. Definitely. I feel like I could have easily picked one of the Halloween boys, if not all of them, if they were fleshed out. So because of the lack of fleshing out, I think I want to pick Raven.
Raven was really, there were so many good ones. And I liked Raven, especially with his protection of her. And it was so cute.
Yeah, I liked the familiars. I'm gonna say that.
Kat was a fucking spicy
Because
ass
Kat was
motherfucker.
cool too, right?
So spicy. Who was your least favorite character? It was hard.
Yeah. Maybe Marceline.
That was going to be my pick too.
Or maybe Vincent.
Yeah, Vincent kind of gave me weird vibes.
Because he was sketchy.
I didn't really like Marceline either.
Yeah.
But that was evident by my comments about
But
Marceline.
again, the characters weren't fleshed out like I
fleshed.
wish they were. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that we had gotten the Halloween massacre of the missing girls and then everyone dying. I wish that was a book and then have that and then lead into the Halloween boys. And that would be really nice. I think that would make it more of a
Yeah, but if they
well-grounded
made a little
series.
prequel, you wouldn't have read it.
If you don't market it as a prequel and it just marked it as book 1 and then book 2 starts the Halloween boys and continue, fuck you. I want that as a book though. I think that would be really cool, in all honesty.
Okay, ratings.
Amazon gives it a 4.4 and Goodreads gives it a 4.2. I gave it a solid 4.0.
It's so hard for me. Well, I'm so torn. I want to give it a 4 because
there
of
were some plot
how,
holes though.
yeah, because of how I felt about the world building and how I felt about some of the cool shit. But there's too many plot holes for me and too much lack of character building for me. So I went with a 3.5. But I feel like my gut reaction was to rate it a 4. And I just can't let go of my issues with it. So
no, that's okay. My gut reaction was a 4, so that's what I rated it as. But I can understand your complaints for sure. So
yeah. So
what
about your cucumber rating?
I was just gonna ask the same thing.
Do you have to think for a second?
Yeah.
I feel like there weren't very many scenes in this one, but the scenes that we did get were interesting and different. Like we had some transformations midway. We had some different tongue action. We had some smoke action. We had some male on male action. We had some blood play.
That he tied her hands with his smoke above her head.
Right. I want to rate this a 7, but because there's only 3 scenes, I think I want to rate it a 6.
So I was actually gonna go with the 6 before you spoke. I was like trying to think about it. And yes, if there was more
if there were more scenes, it would have bumped it up.
Yeah, and so I want to preface that with
but because of the different variety.
There is no smut in this book until between 70 and 80%. So it is more slow burny, and it's not
because it's so
build slow
world
burning.
building.
Right. But when you get to it, it's good smut. And like Ariel said, it's different. There's stuff in here that we haven't experienced before. I'm telling you.
Right. And
it
it was good to read. I wish it went on longer. Right.
Me too. Give me 30 goddamn pages of that
I was
shit.
like,
and hell yeah. I was like, so what are we going to keep doing? Are we going to just keep going?
Can I bookmark this page?
So it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, like a 6 or 7. I'm going to go with 6. Good.
So for a reader standpoint, I'm going to bring up, so the next book in the series is Dragon. And this is the blurb, just in case anyone wants to explore that next. It is, so Onyx. I knew that my first betrayal should be swift and long earned. Ghost underestimated me. Judas likely didn't think of me at all. Wolf pitied me. To them, I was a peculiar jokester, a shameless flirt, and a restless musician. Brothers and lovers often trivialize the gifts of their counterparts. Oh, he'd never do that to me. He's a good boy. Always wrong. I've been biding my time. My initial foray back into the world of monsters, released from my small town prison cell, would have to be big. They'd have to never see it coming for it to work, and they didn't. Then there was Blythe, this darling little creature of death that came sulking into a diner with no money and only fear so strong it took my breath away. I couldn't ignore her. I couldn't get her out of my head, and I couldn't forget that she was mine. And then Blythe. I was running again. Except for this time, instead of running from my past, I was running from home, running from myself. Maybe I'd find something on this journey that would help me know what to do. The Storykeeper's ship had a navigator. I found myself wishing I had one too. It didn't help my confusion that something about Onyx was screaming at me for attention. I was attracted to him. It would be impossible not to be. There were witches claiming we were all mated, the Halloween boys and me. I couldn't help the pull of Onyx's emerald stare, or the way that my heart beat faster, just wondering what he'd say next. Onyx's heart was sharp and charming, though there was something else. There was something else under his so carefully crafted surface that I'd yet to uncover, and I never wanted to uncover it. But how could I slay part vampire and part dragon without getting bitten and burnt to a crisp? You're invited to the Bleeding Heart Ball this Valentine's Day. In book 2, you'll go on a pirate adventure, find a new vampire coven, and be immersed in a gothic romance and monster fun, and of course, the Halloween Boys' own brand of chaos. You get your pirate people back. Very cool. Interesting.
And then it says Dragon and the crew go in search of his family. They'll find allies and foes and unlikely places as they travel to a mysterious castle in the sky. What? Sorry. And a brand new spooky town where new and old hauntings converge. They may be a world away, but secrets and evils have a way of following them wherever they go.
So there's going to be more world building. Yes. So cool, but we're not going to get that character building like you thought we were going to get in this one.
It's fine. Pirates.
It's fine. And vampire dragon dick. You know.
Hell yeah. This is so great. I'm kind of excited.
So if you're interested in that book, that is Dragon. Because this is Halloween.
This Halloween.
Take a drink.
Bro. That was it was an adventure. The book was an adventure, I'm not gonna lie.